As if we haven't had enough upheaval in the last 2 years with the pandemic, now we have a geopolitical situation that threatens what I think was already a pretty tenuous recovery. Now, as I've mentioned, the worst part of the inflationary shock has been that staples like food and energy have been hit the hardest. Energy prices are up 27% from a year ago. Now, it does seem unfair to compare to a year ago because we were in the middle of the pandemic, but if we compare 2019, prices per gallon of gas were $2.60, whereas now they're up about $4 a gallon. Prices haven't been this high since 2008. One reason that we've been able to keep oil prices relatively low is because we import some of our oil. In fact, some of our imports in oil come from Russia at about 700,000 barrels a day, and that's about 8% of all U.S. crude oil imports. Thankfully, the Canadians are a much larger source of crude oil imports at about 51%. So why do we import oil from Russia at all? Because Russian oil is cheap, and the U.S. has sophisticated refineries that can make their viscous oil usable. It's all about margins. So how did we get here? Well, part of the issue is that the developed countries around the world have wanted to transition to alternative energy sources like wind and solar, which is a great thing, but it does take time. And in the meanwhile, we need bridge energy sources like natural gas. Remember that oil and gas are traded globally, so if energy prices go up around the world, they're going to go up for us as well. Now, can the federal government do anything about this? Well, federal and state government can actually reduce taxes on gasoline, but even if that tactic is pursued, it's only going to reduce gasoline prices for us at the pump by maybe 50 cents a gallon. The other thing that the government has done already is increase the strategic oil reserves and release them out into the global market. Well, that's only about 90 million barrels, and the U.S. uses about 20 million barrels a day, so that's not going to make much difference either. So really the only other solution is to look at the demand side. The U.S. could actually reduce the amount that it uses and make a significant difference in the demand for global oil. I would argue that the pandemic actually taught us how to reduce mobility. Certainly we don't need to shelter in place again, but we could significantly reduce the amount of oil that we demand, at least in the short term, and that could help mitigate prices globally.